on, guys? It's Connor and Peter here from Untamed Outdoorsman. This is going to be a very different video from what we usually do, but we're going to give you sort of an in-depth overview of the Garmin Striker Plus 5 CV fish finder. We're in a dark room right now because we wanted to show you what the fish finder actually looks like, and the camera will get a little messed up if it was in the light. But if it has trouble focusing or it has trouble seeing the screen, we apologize for that. So when you first load this up, you're going to get a bunch of questions on here that are just general questions like English and stuff like that. Just very basic questions like where to set up a phone. But once you get in here, you're going to get multiple options. You're going to get traditional, clear view, flasher, split frequency, traditional plus clear view, quick draw map, and all three together. So map, traditional, and clear view. So to start with traditional, it may have trouble focusing here, but this is just your traditional transducer. Nothing too special about it. It's actually a pretty in-depth transducer, all things considered. It's a pretty clear picture. So I have no problems reading all the fish down here and all that. This is obviously on the simulation mode, but we'll get to that later. And then quickly going back to that, we got the depth in the top corner, our water temperature, how much this is draining out of the battery, and obviously the time. It's not right, but it's the time. Clear view is kind of where it gets a little more unique. Clear view is much more of an in-depth view of the ground. So you're probably thinking like, oh, why don't I just use clear view all the time? The main reason why you don't want to use just straight clear view is because it's really hard to see the fish. So this is a different type of sonar. So it prioritizes much more of the structure as opposed to the fish. So it is definitely very useful and it has its place. I just wouldn't use it all the time. And the flasher mode, we're never going to use the flasher mode. This is a very ice fishing oriented sort of mode. So it doesn't give you like everything, but it gives you pretty much a true ice fishing setup. And they actually sell the cases for the fly fishing gear separately. So that's something you definitely look into. They sell like a whole bag of just fly to protect your fish finder and protect the battery when you're doing ice fishing. The split frequency is pretty useful as well. The split frequency just shows you two different frequencies, so it may give you a little bit more definition, a little less definition. Like I said, it's a little hard to do it with the simulator mode on, but yeah, so it just shows you two different views of the bottom. This is probably the one that I'm going to use the most. This is the traditional plus the clear view. This is probably the do-it-all style. So you get to see all the fish that are marked on your normal traditional transducer, and then you get to see a lot of the finer structures that are on the clear view. And then your quick draw map. So this is something that is a little hard to describe because a lot of the marketing for this fish finder is that it has full GPS. That is not true. The GPS is not what you think it is. So you don't ever get any definition here. It's always just a blank screen, but I can easily mark it. So it's just sort of a waypoint map. So it just marks things for you, and then you can return to them, and you can come back to them whenever you see fit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it tracks your route along where you'd fish for the day.
Yeah, so it tracks the whole. It basically tracks your route, and I think you can save a couple hundred of them, a couple hundred waypoints on here. So that's pretty useful. This is probably more useful for the bigger ponds, like the Lake Winnipesaukis of the world. Probably more useful there. This is one that I'll be using quite a bit as well. So this is the traditional clear view and quick draw map. So it gives me an idea of where I am, gives me my fish, and it gives me my structure. So this is probably the most useful one out of all of these on the menu. So this is probably the most useful one. I'll probably end up using the clear view the most because that just fits my needs the best. But did you want to show them how you can actually set it up?
Yeah, so on this fish finder with most of these, there's a customize option you can actually do. And you are able to add like combos, so you can do any of these specific layouts. So like we made one for Connor already. I'll actually show you guys. But it's where you put your different things. So like you could do a maps up top, clear view down the side, and you could do your traditional sonar over here. But yeah, it just shows you everything you can do. So you have data graphs on each of these, and then you go back, numbers. So this will tell you like what your GPS speed, what your latitude and longitude and stuff are. But here, I'll show you the one we did for Connor. So we have this one right here. So we have his traditional sonar up top, and then you got his clear view down the bottom left and his maps down the bottom right. He figured since he was going to be using traditional sonar a lot more just to figure out where the fish are, that he'd have the bigger on the top, and then you'll still have your clear view on the side so you can see what structure you're on top of. And then, like we said, it's just nice to have the maps up because you can do waypoints. And if you ever fish a day, you make a waypoint in the beginning of the morning, circle around the pond, come back to that waypoint, maybe the fish is there. Especially like bed season, it's awesome to do waypoints on beds. Even if it doesn't map out the full entire lake, like if you were to have a Navionics Plus chart or something, this is an awesome feature to have just because you can still see the waypoints and it marks your route. But yeah, we can just go into the settings. Basically, all this stuff it tells you, like, you can go in to set your keel offset of how many feet and your temperature offset. So that's like if you get to a certain temperature that you want specifically in the water, then it'll show you the offset. And then you go to your units. This is just basically like all your formatting stuff. So you get U.S. Eastern Time Zone, and it does all your positioning and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. This is the navigation one we were talking about. So, like we said, this doesn't have a true GPS where you actually see all the structure and you don't see the full lake until you map it out. So this is kind of a good and a bad. You can label what route you're on if you make specific routes around a pond. But yeah, it's just all the stuff. And then this is the biggest one, I think, was the alarms. And then I think it was under, yes, sonar. So this is where we set up his shallow water alarm. So basically what happens is when this kayak gets into 2 feet of water, where he has a possibility of beaching this or hitting a rock or anything like that, this will actually sonar an alarm. That way he knows he's in shallow water. Hey, maybe you should back up. It's actually just a really good like safety feature for him because he does have the transducer off the side. And, you don't want to scuff up the bottom of your boat or anything, so this is good. But you also have a deep water alarm for so many feet of water, alarm if you have fish on your sonar, and then water temp if it hits a certain temperature. But, yeah, this is all just basic stuff, like I said. And then we got his one set up for him, so...
Yeah, so this is just sort of a basic overview of it. We didn't want to go too in-depth over it because it's not really worth doing. A lot of this is going to be figuring out for yourself. If it's worth the $300 for this, I would say if you're sort of on the fence about getting a fish finder in general, I would say this is definitely worth it. Like for my needs, for example, I've never felt the need for a true fish finder. And I said that in the previous video of when we set this up. I've never said to myself like, oh, I need a fish finder. So this is something that's going to give me the essentials. It's going to give me my depth. It's going to give me my temperature. It's going to give me just a general overview of what's underneath me, but nothing more than that. And I think with $300, this is perfect. One thing I do want to add, though, is this is only the 5 CV. So the 7 SV, I believe, is $350, and this is $300. So it's probably going to be worth jumping up the $50 to get the 2-inch bigger screen. But that's a total preference thing. I just prefer the smaller one because it's a little bit easier. But yeah, so if you have any questions, just let us know. We'll definitely answer them. We just figured we wanted to do this before the season started so you have a general idea of how this system works. And we haven't even taken it out on the water yet. It's still ice on the water, so we'll have to do that in the coming few months. But yeah,
especially since you'll be seeing it on the boat now while you're wearing the camera. If you have any more questions, like we said, we can always answer them. But at least we gave you an overview before it comes to fishing season where you're seeing stuff and you maybe were unsure of it, but now we can help you out with that.
Yep, definitely. But we'll see you guys in the next video, and we'll talk to you later.